Hello students. Previously, we have learnt about different operators in JavaScript. After learning about the operators in JavaScript, now we are going to learn about decision making statements in JavaScript. Based on a condition, the decision making statements are going to decide which statements will be executed and which statements will not be executed. In JavaScript, we have to learn two different types of decision making statements. Let us start with the first decision making statement. The first statement that we have to study is if statement. Let us have a look how if statement is written in the program. Here we have syntax of if statement. Syntax is nothing but the way the statement is going to be written in the program. We have if. The keyword used is if. I and F both are written in lowercase. After if, we have a condition. The condition is always written within the parenthesis. Parenthesis means the round brackets. After the condition, we have opening curly brackets. Then we have statements which are to be executed. Once all the statements are completed, lastly, we have a closing curly brackets. So the statements which are written in between the opening and closing curly brackets are also known as statements of if, or they are known as the if block. The condition is going to return a Boolean value, that is either true or false. If the condition is true, in that case, the statements which are written with the if will be executed. In case the condition evaluates to false, then the statements which are written with if will not be executed. If the conditional expression given in the parenthesis is true, then the statements in the if block will be executed, followed by the execution of remaining statements. So this is the conditional expression. The conditional expression will be true or false. Always remember, the conditional expression must be written within the parenthesis. The parentheses are round brackets. If the conditional expression given in the parenthesis is false, then statements within the if block will not be executed. Thus, if the condition turns out to be false, then the statements which are written with the if block will not be executed. There is an important note. In case there is only one statement within the if block, then the curly brackets, that is the opening curly brackets and the closing curly brackets, are optional. However, if there is more than one statement, in that case, the curly brackets are mandatory. Let us see the if statement with the help of an example. Students, here we have an example where we are going to display absolute value of a number. For absolute value, we know that if the number is negative, then we multiply it by 1 and we get the absolute value. So let us have a look at the code. Let's start from body tag. Body H1, absolute value of number. The heading will be printed on the page. Script language is equals to JavaScript. We are using JavaScript, so we are going to use script language is equals to JavaScript. Var num. So we have declared a variable by name num. In the next statement, num is equals to parseInt prompt. We are accepting input from the user using prompt box. Using parseInt, we are converting the value entered to an integer. If. Now here we are using if decision making statement. Inside the parenthesis, we have a condition. The condition is num less than 0. If the number is less than 0, it means that the number is negative. If the number is negative, document.write multiplying by 1 within if block. Next statement, num equal to num multiplied by 1. So if the number is negative, we are just printing a message to indicate we are inside if block. We are multiplying the number by minus 1. When we multiply it by minus 1, we get the absolute value. After the if block ends, then we are printing absolute value is num. So let us execute this and then understand one more time. First time, let us enter a positive number 6. So when we enter 6, num equal to 6. If num less than 0, the condition is false. When the condition is false, it will not execute the statements written for if, but it will execute the statement which is written after if. After if, absolute value is num. So let's click on OK. When you click on OK, you're getting document.write absolute value is 6. Let us refresh this. This time minus 8. So when we enter minus 8, num equal to minus 8. Minus 8 is less than 0. The condition is true. When the condition is true, it is going to execute the statements that are written for if. So it will execute the first statement. Document.write multiplying by 1. So on our web page, we will get the text multiplying by 1 with an if block. In the next statement, minus 8 multiply by minus 1. And the final result, that is 8, will be saved to num. After the if block ends, it is going to execute the statement which is followed. In this case, we have absolute value is num. So let's click OK and check. So we get the first statement multiplying by 1 within if block because it has entered the if block. It has changed the value and then it is printing the absolute value. This is how the if statement works. Students, let us take one more example. In this example, we are going to find out if a person is eligible to vote or not. In that case, we will accept the age of a person. We will find out if the age of person is greater than equal to 18. We will say the person is eligible to vote. Let us start from the body tag. Body tag script language is equals to JavaScript var age. So the name of the variable is age. Age equal to parse_int prompt. This will display a prompt box. The value entered will be converted to integer. Next, if age is greater than equal to 18. If is the decision making statement. Age greater than equal to 18 is the condition present within the parent. Alert, you are eligible to vote. Students, in this case, we are using a new function that is alert. Alert is going to show a dialog box with the message and an OK button. Let us check. So here, let us write 45 and click on OK. So this is the alert box. Alert function will display the message that you have printed in the double quotes with the OK button. So let's click OK. Here the program is returning a message if a person is eligible to vote. Let us execute this one more time. This time let us enter 6. OK. In this case, the person is not eligible to vote and we are not getting any message. In this case, the user of the program might get confused. So what can be done? For this, we can add an else statement. Else, opening curly brackets, closing curly brackets, and within the curly brackets, statements of else. Alert, alert, you are not eligible to vote. Let us save this and execute it one more time. So let's enter 6 this time and click on OK. We get a message, you are not eligible to vote. Okay. So this is the next type of decision making statement, if and else. else has separate opening curly brackets and closing curly brackets. Within the curly brackets, we can write statements of else. Students, you must have observed there is no semicolon after if because the if statement ends after the curly brackets. Here, we never write condition with else. The condition is always written with if. Students, let us check one more thing. In this case, let us remove the curly brackets. Save and execute. 56 and click OK. You are eligible to vote. One more time, let's execute. 8 and click OK. You are not eligible to vote. Since there is only one statement for if and only one statement for else, the curly brackets are optional. Let us have a look at the if-else statement that we have learned just now. So here we have the syntax. If condition. The condition is written inside the parenthesis. Opening curly brackets, statements block. This is statements block of if. After all the statements are completed, we close the curly brackets of if. Once if is completed, we start else. Opening curly brackets of else. Statements block. So the statements of else. Then closing curly brackets. This is closing of else. If the conditional expression in the parenthesis is true, so here the condition is true, then the statements within the if block will be executed. Otherwise, that means when the condition results as false, the statements in the else block will be executed. So this is the second type of decision making statement. There are three important points that we should note. At a time, either if or else block statements will be executed, not both. So either if or else statements will be executed. Both statements cannot execute together. If else if ladder is used to check multiple conditions at a time. Now if we have more than one condition, we can use else if to check multiple conditions. Condition is never written with else. Condition is always written with if. These are two decision making statements that we have to study. Thank you, students.